Hey everybody, this is Kevin Bass from thedietwars.com, and I'm here to talk to you guys today about Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop 7-Day Reset Kit, also known as the Detox 7-Day Reset Kit. Detox meaning Gwyneth. And what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to scientifically dissect this kit and the principles behind it. In fact, I'm going to bring out the underlying scientific principles, whichever there are, and also break down some of the ways in which it could be made better, or the application could be made better, or you, my viewer, could do things better than the way the kit suggests. In particular, I'm going to simplify things to make them both less resource intensive, more time efficient, as well as give you principles from this kit and from your experience that you may or may not have with it based upon this video, give you principles that will allow you to extend what you are using in this kit to other parts of your life to benefit you in your long-term health journey. In other words, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons, and doing so in a scientific manner, of using this kit and the ideas behind it. Cool. Now I'm going to start the video looking at the website at which this kit can be found. Okay, this is the Goop website, goop.com/wellness/detox Gwyneth-Paltrow-detox-kit, and that will take you to the article on the website called How Gwyneth Does Our 7-Day Reset Kit. It starts out with a picture of Gwyneth Paltrow looking relaxed and having a somewhat discerning but also cheerful and good-natured look at us as we look back upon her from the from our rooms into the screen. It starts out by saying how Gwyneth does our 7-day reset kit, and right away we see that this is a website that is extremely well done, extremely professional. The writing is extremely polished, and in fact every single way this whole web page is put together in this article is very impressive. It starts out saying that Gwyneth Paltrow started experimenting with detox in the 90s, and she was really so taken with how good I felt from it. That's why I detox, because when you do it, you just feel so much better. Interesting. So the first thing we can comment on here is that, the word detox. What does that word mean? As everybody knows, or at least as most people know, detox is short for detoxification. Let me see how to say this. Why is this kit called a detox kit or a detoxification kit? The reason for that is not necessarily that it actually detoxifies a person. It doesn't remove the poisons from a person. It doesn't remove the toxins from a person, right? But the word detox refers to a specific process in a kind of metaphor, in fact, for, one might say, improving one's health and feeling better, or at least having the subjective feeling that one is improving one's health. It's a metaphor, it's not literal. One does not literally remove toxins from one's body by using one of these kits. That's not the case, at least not literally speaking. But one feels better and more healthier after doing so. Is there evidence that doing one of these detoxes, or another word that's often used is the word cleanse, is there any evidence that such an approach can be beneficial to health? Not literally in the sense of detoxification, but more metaphorically in the sense of for a brief moment of time, participating in a certain practice, in this case using this 7-day reset, to thereby improve one's health. Is there any evidence that one can do this? In fact, there is. So in the journal Cell Metabolism, it's a prestigious journal in the biomedical sciences. They published a paper, scientists did, headed by a famous scientist at the University of Southern California named Walter Longo. They published a paper showing that in both cells, in the lab, cells grown in a flask or a petri dish, or in mice in the lab, or indeed in humans, undergoing this process of what they call the fasting mimicking diet, improved the health of these various different experimental systems, or as it were, a human, or a group of humans. What they did is they simply gave them a special and relatively nutritious diet for 5 days. And this diet improved in a remarkable manner. It improved the health markers once they went to the lab and got blood work of the people who underwent this process and had this so-called fasting mimicking diet. For this diet, similar to the fasting mimicking diet, one undergoes 7 days whereby one fairly dramatically reduces one's calorie intake, consumes a bunch of exotic foods, and in the process coming out of it, will probably experience something quite similar to what Walter Longo documented in his paper, showing that a 5-day period of doing something quite similar produced health benefits if done 3 times over the course of 3 months. So there is evidence that something like this can help, but there are some important caveats. Although restricting one's food and eating a certain very specific kind of diet can improve one's health if done over repeated iterations, say once a month for 3 months, the principles behind it, the reasons that this is the case, are not made immediately clear by the website. And what I'm going to now explain to you are these principles behind it so that you can replicate what's being done here in your own way without necessarily needing to buy the kit, and also take other principles away from this particular diet that will help you in your health journey in the long term in a sustainable manner permanently. Things that will help you manage your weight, manage your blood pressure, manage your cholesterol permanently if you can internalize these principles I'm now about to teach you and apply them over the long run. Before jumping in to this, to the details, I want to explain some of the basic principles that are behind this and some of the things that maybe are not so well founded. in fact. The first principle here is that the foods used in this detox, the reason that this detox works, the so-called detox, the reason that it works is that the foods used are low in calories. They're low in calories and they're relatively high in volume. So the lower the density of calories, so the lower the amount of calories in any given like quantity of food. So say I have a ball of food that's this big. If it has 250 calories, it's better than a ball of food this big that has 500 calories, because a ball of food with 250 calories that's this big will be just as satisfying or nearly as satisfying as a ball of food with 500 calories that's this big, and yet you'll be getting fewer calories for roughly the same amount of satisfaction. Being more satisfying will allow you to feel more full and, on a lower amount of calories. So that's one of the basic principles being employed with this detox kit. It's few calories with a relatively large amount of volume. And this few calories over the course of 7 days is what is producing the detox effect, the effect that will make you feel better. In general, it will reduce inflammation, as well as improve your blood markers if you go to the doctor's office. Assuming you use a detox kit or you use these principles in a consistent manner and in a manner consistent with the instructions given for this kit. The key thing that is causing the benefit is the low amount of calories combined with the high amount of satiety that will allow you to go for 7 days doing this detox without wanting to pull your hair out or jump out of the 5th floor of your workplace because you're not feeling satiated enough. This diet kit will allow you to reduce your calories but still feel satisfied and not like you're going to pull out your hair. Okay, given that, however, when one is reducing one's calorie intake for a period of time, say 7 days in this case, in order to maximize the amount of fat loss and minimize the amount of muscle loss, one wants to consume as much protein as possible. So here, as we can see, one of the first foods at the top, which is what's in the box of the kit, is this Reset protein powder. This protein powder, and it's actually quite interesting and good, is that it's filled with it has fiber, it has iron, and it has omega-3 fatty acids. The fiber will help to fill you up more so that you can, it makes it easier to continue doing the detox while still feeling full. It'll keep the food in your stomach for a longer period of time and make you feel more satisfied. The iron is good because for many people doing this detox kit, probably the large majority are women, especially if premenopausal. Many premenopausal women will benefit from additional iron. Not everybody, because some people have iron that's too high, but many people will benefit from additional iron. I believe as many as 20% are deficient in iron, premenopausal women, and therefore this can be something that can contribute to women's health. Not in all cases, but in many cases, which is probably why it's included in this kit. Okay, so some low-level iron supplement for a short period of time, not done for too long, because it can be not good. is helpful. In addition, you have the omega-3 fatty acids, which may be important and helpful for cardiovascular health and brain health, and overall actually having an anti-inflammatory action as well. Now, here's where we might be a little more critical. It says it's certified organic plant protein. It's not necessary that it be certified organic, although I know that many of my viewers will believe that organic is something that's healthful and important. It's not so important to achieve health benefits to have organic plant protein. It is just as good, or 99% as good, to have non-organic protein. In fact, in some organic foods, there's a higher amount of pesticides, in this case from organic pesticides. So there's actually organic pesticides that are used if you don't use conventional pesticides, and because there's organic pesticides used instead of conventional pesticides, these can actually still be quite bad for you. In fact, some of the worst pesticides, the most unhealthy pesticides for you, are organic pesticides. So it's no guarantee that the food is necessarily going to be great. But they included it because people like organic things, even if it's not necessary or very helpful, and may actually raise the price. It's not very useful. Plant protein, it's fine, but having 5 different sources is not going to make any difference, essentially. It's not going to be necessary. You could easily replace this with pea protein. Say go buy straight up pea protein from the supermarket and you'd get the same effect. Now, what is really cool about this, though, is that the fact that you have protein during the detox allows you to maintain as much muscle as possible and maximize your fat loss. So your weight loss isn't coming from muscle, it's coming from fat. There are several reasons why you want to minimize your muscle loss. One is that having muscle is sexy. Women who have more muscle, not who look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and very few, and pretty much no woman looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but having more muscle compared to looking waifish is very sexy. If you look at any Hollywood actress, if you look at any curvy female in a superhero movie, curvy female and that looks banging, and no matter what film you want to talk about, the vast majority of those women are carrying around a lot of muscle, and that is one of the reasons that they're so sexy. So maintaining muscle makes women look sexy. And it's very, very hard to have too much muscle as a woman. It's just very difficult because it's not easy to gain muscle. It's very hard. It's hard work for a woman to gain muscle, but it looks great. That's why whenever you consume this protein while you're in a calorie deficit, while you're not eating so much calories during the detox, you will maximize the way your body looks coming out of it, especially if you do this on a repeated basis. That's why you want more protein. But there's other reasons as well. So another reason is that everybody gets thinner as everybody gets older. And because we are getting thinner as we are getting older, we are losing muscle in older age and becoming less functional. Becoming less functional can impair our quality of life. So in order to maximize our quality of life in the long run, having as much muscle as possible starting when we're young and able to still build it is something that is going to prevent age-related losses of function and make our lives healthier and happier in the long run. Additionally, muscle burns calories. The more muscle you have, the more calories you can burn. This effect is relatively small, but it's big enough so that over the course of every single day, having more muscle will allow you to have a little bit of extra wiggle room where you can eat a little bit more. In addition, related to the fact of function and functionality, having more muscle makes you more functional in life. It makes you more of, of a queen, of a badass, of somebody who can take care of themselves and take care of what needs to be done and not need to always depend on somebody else to do it. This is only going to make you more attractive. It's only going to make you more fulfilled in your autonomy and in your ability to take care of things for yourself. Having more muscle is always great. So this is why in this detox kit, they include protein, and you're going to be consuming this protein with every meal. Does the protein help reset you? It's called reset protein powder. No, not at all. That's just part of the marketing and part of the ideas that maybe Paltrow has about it that are not correct, but it is something that is extremely useful for the purpose of this detox kit so that it will allow you to maintain your muscle as you're in a calorie deficit and losing fat. Cool. The cereal blend it's fine. It fills you with calories. It's relatively satiating. It'll make sure that you are satisfied with your food. Grains are a really great way to, especially unsweetened grains in a low-fat context. Although I think this is seeds and nuts, maca root powder, turmeric powder. It's not even cereals, apparently. That's interesting. So it says it's a cereal blend, but actually, in fact, it is nuts and seeds. Well, in any case, nuts and seeds are very satiating and very healthy. And they will also improve your health and your biomarkers, not because they're detoxifying you, but because nuts and seeds are inherently healthy. Which brings us, let's integrate some of what we just said, which brings us to another core principle. After you're done with this detox, if you choose to buy the kit or you choose simply to go it without a kit and do this in a cheaper way, in a more time-effective way, you can use a higher protein intake to have a small impact on your weight maintenance. So having a higher protein intake will allow you to have a slightly lower weight than if you had a low intake. And furthermore, if you participate in any sort of working out or anything like that, more protein intake will maximize the fat loss of those workout sessions, those gym sessions, and minimize the muscle loss or allow you to gain muscle. So it will increase and improve your body composition and make you look better than if you didn't have as much protein. So taking protein powder on a regular basis to supplement your protein intake of your meals is a good idea. And one way to do that is to incorporate it into breakfast. That will allow you to be fuller during the day, and it will generally not increase your calorie intake because it'll make you feel fuller. Likewise, this whole idea of using nuts and seeds is a great idea because nuts and seeds are one of the healthiest foods you can eat so long as you do not have a bunch of added salt, because that can make them taste too good and overeat them. You can use them in an unsalted fashion to improve your health and improve your heart health, as well as facilitate weight loss because they're very satisfying and satiating foods if not consumed with salt. You can consume them with salt if you can handle that, but it's easier to maintain a lower intake if you do not. Now here's one thing. It says that Detox Ultimate Dry Brush. Dry brushing, it says, exfoliates and promotes local circulation, which is one of the more rewarding whole body wellness practices we know. If you want to do that, that's good. You can get a dry brush and use a dry brush. It's not going to help out with the detoxification. It's not going to help out with the consuming less food. It's not going to help out to become more healthy physically. Now, as far as beauty practices are concerned, I don't know much about those because I'm a male and I don't, as a male who doesn't care about these sorts of things generally, I can't comment on that. But what I can say is, as far as your physical health is concerned, not your aesthetics or your appearance, but as far as physical health, your blood biomarkers, your weight, etc., this is not going to help. But it may make you look better. A dermatologist would have to comment on that part. Let us continue talking about the stuff related to the body as opposed to the skin, what's on the inside as opposed to the outside. And we're going to talk about this detoxifying super powder. It's called the Detoxifying Super Powder. It's a dietary supplement formulated with milk thistle extract to support liver function, a blend of nutrients to promote cellular function and overall health, vitamin C and resveratrol to provide antioxidant support and protect cells against free radical damage. This part of the detox is completely unnecessary and not helpful at all. So, although there are some interesting scientific principles behind this detox, and I do think in many ways it will work to improve health for sure, including decreasing inflammation, this particular super powder is not going to be one of those parts. You don't need this. You could replace this with just a multivitamin and you'd be doing great. So if you like to have a supplement, a multivitamin supplement, as you're doing this so-called detox, you can take that and you can skip this super powder because it's not adding much. And a lot of these compounds are not beneficial for health. Resveratrol is a great example. There's been a lot of hype about resveratrol, but it's not a longevity promoting agent. It's not a good antioxidant. It's not going to improve your health to a substantial extent. It's a gut microbiome super powder, a clinically studied dose of probiotics, prebiotics, digestive juices, L-glutamine, and aloe juice concentrate to support a healthy gut, reduce occasional bloating, and promote healthy and normal bowel function. What's in here? Well, there's a lot of different packets. There is a powder. How do we zoom in on that powder? Great. It says there is, it's got aloe vera juice concentrate, lactobacillus, and then proprietary enzyme blend. Yeah. And then some fiber, protein, sodium, glutamine. Glutamine is going to be for gut function. I see. Okay. Well, I don't endorse this at all. I don't think this is going to be very useful. And the reason is these enzymes are not going to help you that much because you're already not eating a whole lot. It might not be a bad idea to take these proprietary enzymes if you're going to be radically changing your diet during this period. So if these foods are foods you're not accustomed to, you could take additional digestive enzymes such as from this particular packet because it might facilitate some of the digestion of some of these things because your body may not be accustomed to digesting many of these foods. So that might be a good rationale. The lactobacillus, I would contend that there's no good evidence that taking lactobacillus helps. In fact, there's some evidence that lactobacillus and that probiotic supplements in the form of bacterium can be harmful. I would not take this. The L-glutamine, on the other hand, might be good for gut function. There's some limited evidence that L-glutamine can help to restore some gut function. I would recommend something like a low dose of psyllium husk or Metamucil. You could also add these digestive enzymes as well to facilitate the digestion of these new foods that you're going to be having. L-glutamine is not the most terrible idea, but overall, I wouldn't suggest the lactobacillus. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend this particular supplement, although there are some good things about it that will help you to facilitate transitioning to the diet. So I'm a little bit I'm a little bit unclear about whether or not I would endorse this. If you want to take it, it's fine, but I personally wouldn't. That's this part of the supplement I would not consume myself. I would maybe take the enzyme blend if I found I was having some sort of if I didn't feel good while digesting some of these foods, I would take the enzyme blend to maybe facilitate some of the digestion. But besides that, I would probably skip this. And your gut function is going to be getting much better without taking L-glutamine, simply because you're going to be in this fasted state, and that's going to dramatically help to improve your gut function without necessarily needing L-glutamine. But if you want to add L-glutamine even to help function even more, although I'm not sure it will help, but it may, you could do so. That might not be the worst idea. I don't know. It's up to you, and using this information that I'm giving you, you can experiment. But I think that the calorie reduction alone should dramatically improve gut function without needing this super powder. And then adding on top of it some L-glutamine if you want some additional fuel for the proper functioning of the gut, because as I recall, L-glutamine is a very important metabolite that the guts use for energy. Then you can try to do that. But I don't think it's going to be necessary, but you can try it. Cool. Let's look at what they're doing. So breakfast is reset cereal blend with mushrooms and also wakame and scallions, very healthy foods, very nutrient-rich foods, and wholesome foods. And I think that there's only good things to be said about this. The gut microbiome super powder is, of course, given in the breakfast time because that's going to help you digest everything later on. I think it's not so much for the gut microbiome. I don't think it's going to help your gut microbiome at all. But it'll help you, again, to digest the foods if these are unfamiliar foods. There's turkey hash with leeks, kale, and butternut squash. These are healthy things. And the detoxifying super powder can be thrown out and replaced with a multivitamin in the morning. That's what the science would indicate. Chocolate cherry almond smoothie with reset protein powder, a good choice with the protein powder. You can even have additional protein powder throughout the day. In fact, I would recommend that. Getting your own pea protein or whey protein powder to add in addition to these foods and consuming that with each of these meals throughout the day. I think that would only make this better. And in doing so, you could eat fewer of the other foods and maximize your muscle retention potential and maximize your fat loss as you reduce your calories during this period. That's what I would do and recommend based on the science to optimize this protocol. Day 2 is going to be, again, the cereal blend with berries, toasted coconut, and cardamom. Sounds like a fantastic breakfast. We've got the super powder in there again. We've already talked about that. Lunch is going to be chicken and cauliflower rice soup with all the herbs. Chicken is going to be great because, again, it's going to help with the muscle retention. Cauliflower rice soup, it's going to be great both for the nutrients and for the fullness factor. And then you've got the detoxifying super powder, and then dinner is going to be green chia, again, with the reset protein powder. Sounds not bad. The chia pudding is going to be thick, and it will help you with your satiety. It's also very nutritious, the chia seeds, and relatively low in calories. Third day is the hardest. Yeah, I would say the third day is the hardest because you're going into a full-on fasted state. Because you're going into a full-on fasted state, you're almost about to lose your liver glycogen, which is just the the sugar in your liver. Once you run out of that, then you're switching over to more of a fat-burning state. And when you're doing that, that is going to be the hardest transition period. So I agree with this website. It's quite good. The third day of any detox in your experience is the hardest. Yeah, if that is true, and you can know that just by doing it. But I gave you the explanation for why. Day 3 is slotted in 5-spice salmon burgers. Salmon burgers are great. They're going to be absolutely good for you. They're going to be great for you. And chicken and cauliflower soup is also fantastic. it's hard to say anything negative about the food choices here. Cacao nibs, it's good for cardiovascular health, good for nutrition, good for cognition. It'll help your brain to function better. Maybe you'll especially need that on day 3. Cacao nibs in general are an excellent food to have in general. They're going to help you with your heart, your cardiovascular function, and your brain function, and that's well established by gold standard scientific studies. Cinnamon's not a bad idea. Again, the cereal blend, because it's nuts and seeds, is going to be great for your cardiovascular and your brain health. Salmon burgers, again, because fatty fish are very closely associated with longevity, and they are going to maximize your chance of getting to a low age in a healthy manner. An old age in a healthy manner. Hopefully not a low age, hopefully an old age in a healthy manner. Salmon burgers are a great idea. The triple ginger smoothie, triple berry ginger smoothie. Berries are fantastic for your brain and fantastic for your heart. They will help everything as far as your biomarkers are concerned, and they will help everything in a way that is supplementary or synergistic with your calorie restriction that you're undergoing during this period. Again, reset cereal blend on day 4 breakfast with mushroom, wakame, and scallions. Fantastic. Cannot say anything bad about that. It's a wonderful idea. Kale and sweet potato salad with miso. Again, that's going to fill you up. Sweet potatoes will fill you up. They're very satiating. Kale is very satiating. Miso is also going to be very satiating because it's a liquid and it's going to fill you up. Green chia pudding with reset protein powder in dinner is great. And one of the things to comment on here that's very clear looking at this is all of these food choices, if you're finding that they help you to maintain a lower appetite and feel satisfied, all of these food choices are really good to incorporate into your day-to-day meals. So the more you can use what is in this kit or in these recipes in your day-to-day life, because these are excellent recipes for maintaining long-term health and weight management, the more you can do this, the better off you will be in terms of your health and your weight management. So take from this experience, not just this detox, but use some of these lessons that you learned from this detox to add these dishes, add these foods, if you enjoy them, to your everyday life, and you will see the benefits from doing so. Day 5 is going to be a reset cereal blend with berries, toasted coconut, and cardamom. Again, we've already been through this. That is one of the other meals we've already talked about. Slow roasted salmon with shallots, garlic, coriander, and lemon. Sounds delicious and nutritious. Dinner's chocolate cherry almond smoothie with reset protein powder. Not bad. Day 6 is reset cereal blend with mushroom, wakame, and scallions. Lunch is chicken paillard with zucchini noodles. That sounds fantastic and good for you. Zucchini will help to make you full. Chicken is excellent for retention of lean muscle mass as well as body composition. And the triple berry ginger smoothie is going to be very healthy for your heart and your brain, especially if you add the protein powder, as we've mentioned. So yeah, if you like these foods and you try them and you're finding you're feeling particularly full with them, have a log with you as you're undergoing this experience, and in that log, write down beside those foods, say a check mark or say, try this again, and look at the log after you're done with this experience and try to incorporate those foods that you thought were really good into your everyday life after all of this. So again, banana, cacao nibs, cardamom with the cereal, snack plate with smoked trout salad and beets, vinaigrette, and green chia pudding. Okay, I'm running out of time here, so we're gonna have to switch over to another camera, but before we do, it says Gwyneth Paltrow's advice for first-time detoxers. It says give yourself a lymphatic massage. There's no evidence for that. If you want to do it in order to make yourself feel better or make yourself feel good or you enjoy it, go ahead. There's no good evidence for it, and if it's taking up precious time, you can skip it. Don't exercise too hard. Really, really honor the body and pay attention to what you're feeling. I can't go against that. Don't exercise too hard. Don't push yourself too hard during your exercise. You're restricted. You can, if you're feeling inclined to do so, if you're feeling that energy, go for it. But don't go run a marathon or a half marathon. It's probably not a good idea. In fact, it's probably a bad idea. Hydrate like crazy, not a bad idea. Also to hydrate like crazy when you are not undergoing a detox. And then make sure to take the gut super powder to support regularity. Again, this is probably good for if these foods are novel to you, especially if they're a lot of fiber and you're not used to a lot of fiber. It might be a good idea to take this. Otherwise, it's not about the microbiome or the gut health so much. It's more about just ensuring that you can digest these foods. And I would forego actually the lactobacillus part if I could take that out of the supplement. Okay, so what are some take-home messages and take-home points, some additional points of interest that can help to inform us and you what we can take home from this particular strategy at maintaining health, as well as how to integrate that as much as possible within our lives in a successful manner, both during the actual process of detoxing, as well as when we take some of these principles and strategies and implement them during our non-detox periods. The first thing to talk about is the basic idea, the basic concepts behind weight loss, adherence to weight loss strategies, and weight maintenance. There are two basic elements that one needs to take into account when trying to lose weight. Two basic things to focus on. The first is often dramatically underappreciated and undervalued and under-discussed within the field of weight loss and of people who are helping to people to lose weight and maintain their weight loss and maintain their health and a proper diet. This first principle is mental. It's mental. It's very simple. The more mindful you are about what you're eating, when you're eating, why you're eating it, the more success you will have in maintaining a healthy diet and weight loss, and of course, long-term health. Again, the more mindful, the more you pay attention to what, when, and why you are doing what you are doing with respect to your food, the more successful you will be. Knowing why you are doing what you're doing and having strong reasons for doing it and being aware of these reasons as you do it will help to reinforce that behavior. And scientific study after scientific study, in fact, maybe one might even say the universal characteristic of scientific studies on weight loss is that people are paying attention to what they're doing and why they're doing it. And the more they're able to pay attention to that, the more they're able to maintain that strategy. Now, I also mentioned other things. Timing. I mentioned timing. If you pay attention to eating a consistent set of meals and pay attention to timing and don't mindlessly snack, and pay attention to maintaining consistency in how you're approaching your eating behavior, you will be much better off. Also, the more strategies you can use to limit or control your eating intake within reason, and we'll get into that in just a moment because this is also a critical caveat, the better off you'll be. The more calorie counting measures you have, the more macro counting measures you have, the more portion size counting types of things, the more points that you have, say for Weight Watchers, the more mindful you are of how you're eating in a quantitative manner, the more success that you'll have. Before we get into the caveat of that, because there's some super important caveats, I want to talk about the why. The more knowledge you have about why you're doing what you're doing and how it fits in with an overall understanding of what's going to support health, the better. So if you're interested in weight loss, simply following a program is not going to be good enough for long-term weight loss maintenance. You must internalize the knowledge and become an expert on the diet that you are following to help you to maintain that weight loss. You must understand in as much detail as possible why you are doing what you're doing. And the more detail you understand it in, the more the more success you will have. Okay? That's critical. So the more time you can invest every day or every week, the more success you will have. Okay, but now let's get to a caveat, a really important caveat that kind of ties all of this together. In fact, don't drive yourself or others crazy about this. Now, that is a delicate balance because when you are trying to achieve weight loss, oftentimes it can be quite different from what you've been doing before. And by being quite different than what you're doing before, by having completely different habits, it can be disruptive to the people around you, especially if you're married with somebody who's used to your habits and you're completely changing things, it can be disruptive. If you decide to go whole hog in improving your health, whether it's through a detox diet or taking some of these detox principles with you later on, you need to do so in such a way that pulls everybody around you in as a part of it, but doesn't drive them crazy. So it's a negotiation and a balance and a kind of a collaboration between yourself and the people closest to you. And if you bulldoze other people, it's going to be bad for everybody, including you, including your long-term sustainability. You need to understand and work with other people who are close to you to make these things work the best. But there is a problem of people who you're involved with potentially who don't want to follow down this path. In that case, they can pose some quite substantial difficulties. But you should try your best to work with them so that you're not disrupting their lives and they're not disrupting your goals either, so that you can achieve the goals that you set out to, which gets into what we're talking about as far as the caveats. When it comes to being very mindful and learning as much as possible about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and taking some of the things that you're getting from, say, a detox program like this and taking them into your everyday life, you don't want to become extreme about it. You want to have as much as possible, constant compassion towards yourself and a constant sense of caution and care about what you're doing so that you don't take things too far. A good example of this is a diet that restricts your calories and restricts your calorie intake over the course of the diet. if you follow this to a T and you do not introduce anything else, no snacks beyond what's allowed on the diet, then you're substantially restricting your calories from baseline. That is to say, from the start of doing this. In doing so, you don't want to continue doing that for a long period of time. You don't want to continue this kind of strategy indefinitely because it makes you feel good at one moment. You keep doing it again another week, and then another week, and then another week. That's a bad idea. That's a really bad idea. You want to take the benefits that you can get from this and incorporate it in your life in a way that is sustainable and consistent with your personal mental health. So do not get too extreme about this, and people can. And I'm warning anybody who gets into this kind of thing not to become too extreme, because it can while it may look good for your physical health, it can undermine your mental health and undermine your relationships. So as you do this, you should be checking in with people around you. That doesn't mean people around you are not going to resist and try to undermine you. Some people will. Some people will. That's simply like the fact of weight loss and the fact of self-improvement. Sometimes people don't want to come along for the ride. And you need to think carefully about that, but do it in such a way where you're maintaining your equilibrium and hopefully working with those people as well. After doing a 7-day detox like this, integrating some of those principles that you've learned from that detox into your life, again, you want to not make it too extreme. So some of these meals are low-calorie meals. It might be a good idea to eat afterwards enough calories to feel quite satisfied and quite at peace with how much you're eating after you've done a week of something like this, so that you feel a little bit better. And that you're not going to those extremes of continual caloric deficit, which is not good for your mental or your physical health by going to extremes. So yes, this is very healthy for a short-term thing, and it's very healthy to incorporate some of these principles I've just talked about with respect to what's healthy and what's going to maintain your optimal body composition. There's no question about that. But taking them to an extreme can be unhealthy. So you need to be very careful about taking them to an extreme. Okay? So say you do this for a week. I recommend, if you want to continue incorporating some of these things you've learned from this experience into your life, your regular everyday lifestyle, your regular everyday meals, etc. Please, maybe take a week of taking it at a little bit lower intensity, or maybe low intensity, and chill, and then slowly add things back. Right? Slowly add things from what you've learned here to your everyday life. Or even start it out during that first week, but during that first week, do not add too much at once, okay? Do not change too much at once. Just kind of slowly, incrementally add it to your everyday life after you've done this initial 7-day period. There were some other things I wanted to talk to you guys about that are slipping my mind right now. Oh, ways to guarantee adherence both during this period and after. So in addition to that mental side of paying close attention to when, what, and why you're doing what you are doing, which you need to take from this experience, and you need to continue it after this experience as much as possible if you want to maintain optimal health. And if you're not struggling to maintain a healthy weight, if you're not struggling to maintain optimal health, don't worry too much. But if you are, learning as much as possible and being mindful is going to help within the boundaries that I've just mentioned. But the other thing is, if you're living alone, take everything out of the house that's not going to facilitate you adhering to this. So if you've got snacks around, if you've got cookies around, all that stuff, take that out, toss it, toss the junk food for this period of time. Assuming you don't have like too much and it's not going to cost you hundreds of dollars, but toss your favorite things that you know you're going to cheat on. Toss them. And that might be a good idea to do that in general, to limit yourself to treats only whenever you're outside the house. I don't have any treats in my house. I don't have cookies. I don't have anything like that. I don't have foods that I like love to eat that are calorie dense and hyper palatable, things that are really delicious. I don't have Doritos, you know, I don't have any ice cream in my house. But I sometimes have it outside my house as a treat. It's not something that I obsess over whenever I'm gone, but whenever I'm in my house, I don't have it. And that's one way to facilitate adherence. Make sure that you don't have anything that could tempt you in your house. And that's a general weight loss principle, okay? Yeah, and involve people around you as much as possible. Don't put your kids on anything like this, but involve them as much as possible in this. And that's a good strategy for approaching this and to starting to think about how to approach this and long-term health in general. So the take-home message is use this experience to facilitate your long-term health. Use these principles I've just talked about: high protein intake, low caloric density, very large volume of foods, vegetables that are low in calorie, but high in volume to facilitate satiety. Use these principles and continue learning more in order to take this experience and maximize it for you. One of the final messages I have for you is, if you don't need to buy this, don't do it. All the recipes for every day in this detox scheme, they're all online. They're all things you can get online. So just like go online and print everything off. Go the cheap way. Order everything from the grocery store. You don't need to buy the kit. All you need is the recipes, the food, the raw ingredients to make the recipes, the protein powder. Just get pea protein. Straightforward, simple. The nuts and seeds blend, right? You can get that yourself, especially if you look at the ingredients list. You don't need the maca root powder and turmeric powder. You just get the organic seeds and nuts that they have. You can buy that yourself. And then the digestive enzymes. That's it. And then skip the rest. That will save you, it's $195 to buy this thing. That's going to save you a lot of money. It's going to save you $200. You're only going to need like $20 to buy all that. Maybe $30 to buy all that. You're going to save $150. And you're not going to need any of that other stuff. And then whenever you need to cook everything, do like I do. I cook everything. I have everything cooked on the weekend, frozen, in my stand-up freezer, and then I microwave it during the week so that everything is ready for me. You don't have to do anything. Or if you love to cook every day, then you can cook every day, But if you want to facilitate adherence and you're not used to cooking every day and it's going to be a bunch of time, freeze everything at the beginning. And do that in general. Try that in general. Freeze everything on the weekend and then microwave it during the week. It works great. So that's the last thing I would say about how to do this. Don't buy the kit. Make everything in bulk. If you have the time, if you have a time limitation, and just one day at a time, take from the freezer the things you need, and then microwave them for your meals. You're set. So yeah, overall, I would rate this like a lot of people think detox kits. A lot of people who are kind of in the science-based world think detox kits, and they think, oh, it's not a detox. It's not literally detox. It's misinformation. Well, I mean, it's not literally detox, but it could achieve some positive health effects, and it can help you to learn some new habits. So I think this is a cool idea. I think this is great. But some of the ideas associated with it are not. Some of the ideas associated with it are perhaps not that great. And so use this, and then of course use the digestive enzymes if you need to add those to everything. That part is a little bit iffy, as I said. And use the information I've given you to not only replicate what they're doing here, but do it in a way that you can maximize what you gain out of it. Use everything that you've learned to then leverage it in your everyday life outside of this period as well, because these principles are all applicable to healthy living in general. And so that's what I would say. That's what I would say the take-home message of this 7-day Detox Reset Kit is. It's got some great ideas in it, some not so good ones, and some really important things that you can learn from it if you want to do it and it's interesting to you. So I say go do it. And if you don't want to bother, if you have like plenty of money, if you don't want to bother like, buying the separate protein powder, just buy the kit. It's not a bad idea to learn this stuff. It's not a bad idea. You have a lot of extra time to cook, just do that. It's not a bad idea. Go for it. But just know these limitations I'm talking about, right? Not all this stuff is necessary. Some of this stuff is questionable. But overall, I love it. I think it's a great idea. So long as you know what you're getting into and why. Cool. So that's the video. If you liked it, if you think that I have some good information, click like, subscribe, ask questions. If you have more questions, ask some questions in the comments. Here's the really interesting thing. Over the course of June, I'm only going to be doing these celebrity diet things. That's all I'm going to be doing over June. So if you want me to do other celebrity diet type things, let me know, and then I can go do that for you. So that we're, I'm going to do the ones that you guys are interested in, assuming they're relatively straightforward. Some of them are not. I think I'm going to do Tom Brady next. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. And if you want to see your favorite celebrity done, like their diet or whatever, let me know in the comments. Ask me. If you have any questions, write KB, comma, in the KB, comma, just so I know you watched the video. KB, comma, and then write the question, and I'll answer you. Probably answer everybody. If you have any feedback, let me know. Things I could make better. Things I could make better. Apart from twirling my mustache, because I'm doing it the entire time. I know I am. I think I'm going to trim this thing today. I'm going to trim this thing. Long live the mustache. It's going to be trimmed substantially. But also check out my social media at TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Kevin and Baskavia, and NBASS. If you want to support me on Patreon, help me out, help a man out. If I saved you money on this detox kit, you're going to buy it? And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm going to just buy the things he says that are important. And I'm going to skip the dry comb stuff because it's not important. Or I'm going to skip the resveratrol containing supplement because it's not important. And I'm just going to use my multivitamin instead. Now I'm going to save all this money. Put some of that money into my Patreon. You could also send me a direct donation at www.thedietwars.com/support-me. And that will help. I have 3 kids. They're doing well. Everybody's doing well, but the more help, the better. And what else? Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Check out the podcast of The Kevin Bass Show on Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts. And on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. I need somebody to leave a 5-star review. Please leave a 5-star review. And write the review, not rate, but leave a written review, please. I would love it. Please, that would be great. And what else do I have to say? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Leave feedback. Let me know how I'm doing, good and bad. Things I can do better. Things I could do concretely better. I can't like hire somebody to like to make show notes and stuff like that. Sometimes I can get show notes for you, but sometimes not. And sometimes I'm just going to give you a straightforward summary of what the podcast says because I don't have any money to hire somebody right now. So if you want me to have money, make a donation to Patreon, or on the other hand, you can volunteer your time to help out with some of those things because people in the comments can type out, I think it's like there's like bookmarks where you can see where different things are said throughout the video. Somebody who is wants to volunteer their time can do that, but I can't do that myself. So those kinds of recommendations or suggestions I can't follow through on because I don't have the time. But if there's things I can change about my delivery, that'd be great, right? So I'm going to include a summary of everything I said, or most of what I said, in the description below, so that you can easily reference that. Most of these principles that I'm discussing in an easily digestible form. I'm on Instagram. It's going to be on YouTube. Check me out on YouTube at KBass Philadelphia. Search it out there. I hope this is helpful for you. If it was, great. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.